This is SSC passage, 100 words per minute. Start. Sir, our government was the first ever to set up a separate Ministry of Panchayati Raj. The Minister for Panchayati Raj has been passionately committed to the empowerment of panchayats with the aim to realizing Mahatma Gandhi's dream of Purna Swaraj through Gram Swaraj. This report is a measure of the successes we have achieved so far and the road we still have to travel. Sir, I am very happy to be here today when the issue of Panchayati Raj and its progress is being discussed. I believe the ministry has compiled a report on the state of the panchayats. I hope states and union territories will soon follow with their respective reports. It is important that its achievements and shortcomings be praised on the basis of objective data and scientific evaluation. When this report is released in the parliament, hopefully there will be a serious debate on the state of local self government in our country. Sir, the task that remains is to transform the political and social empowerment that we have achieved through Panchayati Raj into effective administrative and economic empowerment. This is still to happen in many states. The National Common Minimum Program stresses that effective devolution of functions, finances, and functionaries. It is only when these come together that panchayats will be truly empowered to fulfill their mandated role. To this end, I believe three critical steps are necessary. Firstly, the key to the effective devolution of functions is the activity map. Every state must prepare a detailed activity map that clearly spells out the activity in respect of each devolved function that must be carried out at each of the levels of our three tier system of Panchayati Raj. I am happy to learn that state Panchayati Raj ministers have jointly agreed that activity maps be prepared on the principle of subsidiarity. Any activity which can be carried out at a lower level must be entrusted to that level. Equally, ministries at the center also need to prepare activity maps. Secondly, to secure effective devolution of finances, budgets of all line departments must open a panchayat sector window through which panchayats have the necessary financial resources to undertake the duties entrusted to them. The best Panchayati Raj states have already opened such windows. I hope other states will follow. Thirdly, the approach paper to the 11th 5 year plan stresses the importance of grassroots planning. The Planning Commission has issued guidelines to all states to base their annual and 5 year perspective plans on district plans prepared in conformity with constitutional provisions. Sir, the experience with panchayats and their role and status varies from one region to another. The report highlights the lack of basic resources and facilities, etc., in many panchayats. States must learn from each other on effective empowerment of panchayats. Panchayat functionaries need continuous training and capacity building. The Ministry of Panchayati Raj has prepared a Gram Swaraj Yojana which aim to supplement state efforts in this regard. But the primary responsibility remain that of the states, and I hope they give high priority to ensuring this. One of the objectives of democratic decentralization is to ensure people's participation in process of governance. We hope that this will also help reduce corruption and the abuse of power by various government functionaries. If we introduce mechanisms for social audit, we will go a long way towards mitigating the evil of corruption in panchayats. Sir, we now have over 22 lakh elevated representatives in panchayats. Reservations for women, scheduled castes, and scheduled tribes in panchayats have combined political empowerment with social empowerment. Earlier, fears about allied groups capturing these institutions have been allayed. Indeed, the share of women has substantially exceeded the reserved quota with around 50,000 women elected from general unreserved categories. This is a remarkable success in bringing lakhs and lakhs of women into the mainstream of governance. It is particularly worth underlining that the primary reason for this is that a larger proportion of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes women are getting elected over and above the one-third reserved quota. I think it would be fair to say that there are now more women in India in positions of elective authority than in the rest of the world put together. I trust this shining example will encourage our parliament to follow suit. Equally important are Madam, over and above all these things, in my opinion, what is really helping is the ethos of the people. The people in the country are themselves protecting the human rights of one another. For every man committing a crime or violation of human rights, we have hundreds and thousands of people protecting the human rights. The most important thing in our country is that not only we respect and protect the human rights of our neighbors, but also we respect and protect some rights of the living creatures. We respect even trees, we respect even animals. That is our attitude towards life, and it is really helping us. I would like to say that the media today in our country is not having any sanctioning authority, power to punish anybody. And yet, how powerful it is because it creates public opinion. The United Nations is an international body which is presiding over the matters relating to the most powerful nations of the world. It has no power to punish, yet it has the power to create the public opinion, and that public opinion is more powerful than the authority which is given to anybody to punish anyone.